This is United for Biodiversity, the Alliance podcast, a platform that unites global voices in a call to action to protect our planet's rich biodiversity. Join us for critical insights and let's stand united for biodiversity.
Welcome to another episode of United for Biodiversity, the Alliance podcast. I am your host, Kiana Wilberg. Today, we place the spotlight on the consequences of biodiversity loss and the importance of bringing key stakeholders together to address this very worrying issue. To help us with today's discussion is Executive Director of Frankfurt Zoological Society, Dr. Christoph Schenk. Dr. Schenk, welcome to the podcast and thank you so much for taking the time to be here.
Thank you very much. It's a big pleasure for me as well.
So, Dr. Schenk, as I noted, biodiversity loss is an ever present concern. But I want to hear from you about what are some of the current indications that the Amazon is approaching its ecological tipping point, and what could be the global consequences if this particular threshold is crossed?
Yes, that's a bit complicated, and we have to dive a little bit into the ecology of the Amazon rainforest. So the rainforest is called rainforest because it needs rain, and about 20 to 30% of the rain is produced actually inside the system itself. So the rain falls down on this incredible amount of trees and leaves and plants, and then there's evaporation. So 20 to 30% of the rain is produced by evaporation inside the system. We call this evaporation the rivers to the sky. And so what is happening if rainforest is cut down and then rain falls not on the original ecosystem and the rainforest itself, but then on the soil, then it is going away. So we are cutting then the rivers to the sky. And the amount of that water in evaporation is incredible. It's more or less the same amount of water of what we find in the Amazon itself, in the river itself. So these invisible rivers to the sky are crucial and key for the ecosystem. So the computer model says when we lose more than 20 to 25% of the rainforest, then the rainforest will start to die by itself because this evaporation waters, these rivers to the sky are not existing anymore. And so no chainsaw, no fire is needed to destroy the forest. The forest will change into a savanna landscape. Billions of tons of carbon will be emitted by the dying trees, and this will have huge consequences globally. Might be there will be not a single point on Earth which will not be affected by this tipping point. So we will recognize a desertification which is going from northern Argentina right up to the middle west of America, of Northern America. So huge consequences. And now comes the very frightening and extremely worrying number. We are already on 70% of forest loss. Now, 70% forest loss and 20 to 25%, this tipping point can start and nobody on Earth can stop it. So this is why the protection of the Amazon is absolutely key for every human life on Earth.
Dr. Schenk, you provided some very troubling statistics there. What would be the cost of inaction to the world? Because the reality is that our very survival does depend on this tapestry of life. And there are some troubling numbers that we ought to pay attention to. So what's the cost of inaction? What are we looking at?
Actually, we don't know. Now, what we know is if this tipping point starts now, then we turn off the biggest air conditioned system on Earth now. So we will have incredible, unmeasurable changes in the climate of the Earth. And that is only, I would say, only climate now, but that means also the water cycle. But this means also loss of biodiversity. 70% of our medicaments are originating from nature now. And of course, the Amazon is one of the biodiversity richest areas on Earth. So there's a huge potential also for future treatments now of very complicated diseases now. And there's so much more to explore. We know only 2 million species currently, but we estimate that there are 8 or 10 million species, and many of them will inhabit the rainforest and the Amazon. So therefore, we can't really say what the loss is. It will be tremendous and it will be horrible.
Wow. Dr. Shank, how effective are protected areas, for example, in mitigating climate change, particularly in regions like the Amazon?
Actually, they are super important and super effective now. So as long as it's possible to keep the forest alive, to keep the canopy now, the protected areas are somehow the backbone of biodiversity protection in the Amazon. And they protect not only the forest, they protect the climate, as we already heard now, so the water cycles, the carbon, everything what is important. The protected areas alone will not save us, no, but they are an important part of it. And then, of course, in the rest, we need a much more sustainable land use. And this both together can save us from the collapse of the system.
I want to touch on funding for a bit because in the biodiversity conversation that we've been having in the past few weeks, one of the critical topics you often hear about is financing and how this is a critical barrier at times. What, in your view, are some innovative financing mechanisms which are being explored or implemented to support protected areas globally and specifically in the Amazon?
Yeah, you're very right now. So we need more funding and we need different funding. We need larger funding, longer funding, more flexible funding, funding which has lower administration burdens as well. Now, new models for funding, specifically also for the Amazon, I would say, is the Legacy Landscape Fund. That's a foundation in Germany, but an international foundation providing perpetuity funding for core selected large protected areas globally now. And some of the legacy landscapes are already located in the Amazon. Another new mechanism which might be launched at the COP30 of climate in Berlin this year is the so-called TFFF now, so the Tropical Forever fund now, and that is a financial mechanism using financial markets now to generate a significant amount of money for the countries with tropical rainforest, now, like Guyana, for example, but also Brazil and Peru and Colombia and Ecuador and others now. A new one to the list, I would say, but not really mature, is the idea of biodiversity credits now. What we see is that globally a problem for conservation is private profits versus common losses now. So there are common goods now which nobody pays for now. But with biodiversity credits now we can allocate resources and then we have to go into a regulation system now so that private goods public goods are paid for now. And that could be realized by biodiversity credits. So that could be also an innovative funding instrument. But what is clear, what you said at the beginning, yes, we need funding at scale, much more, much longer, much more intensive. And it should go really to the protected areas, to the indigenous communities, which also play an important role in protecting the Amazon now. So there's a lot at stake, and therefore we really have to take the responsibility now. And when I say the responsibility, I say mainly the countries of the global north and the east, because they are emitting most of the carbon load now, and they are also contributing to the destruction of the tropical rainforest. So we have a responsibility here. We have a bill to pay now, and now it's time to pay.
Thank you, Dr. Shank. Now, I want to talk a bit about the role of international collaborations and private sector investments. In what ways do you think these two verticals could be leveraged to ensure long term sustainability of protected areas?
I think both is crucial now, and we need both. We need the leverage now. So we see that also in the new funding instruments now. For example, on legacy landscape, now this is private money and public money coming together and then going into a corporation. Now, I think these global corporations and multilateral agreements have become very scarce these days under the current political climate. And therefore, whatever initiative there is, it is super important now, because we are living only on one world. It's one Earth now. So there's no solution in one place which is not affecting other places now, and vice versa now. So therefore, yes, we need these multilateral agreements, and we need the private sector, of course, contributing to that.
Thank you, Dr. Sheng. Now, on the 30 by 30 initiative, which aims to conserve 30% of the planet's land and ocean by 2030, I want to get your assessment of where the world stands on meeting this goal.
Yeah, first of all, I think it's amazing that we have that goal. Now it is signed by nearly 200 countries. Now it was one of the outcome of the COP15 and COP16, the Convention of Parties, the Convention on Biological Diversities. So we stand on land on 17%. So 13% are still missing. On water, it's even worse now. So we are only on 8%. I just made a calculation for you. What does that mean now? So to achieve the 30 on land by 2030. And so this means that we still have to protect 13% additionally. And when we calculate that, that means that on every day from now on, let's say from 1st January 2025 onwards now, we have to protect 36,000 square kilometers, which is nearly the size of Switzerland, every
Wow.
single day till 2030 now. So that shows we are far off track now, but that means we should not change the goal, but we should change the speed of how we are setting up protected areas now. So it's a big task in front of us now, but we all have to work together now to get at least closer to our goal.
Thank you, Dr. Schenk. Now, to wrap up, I want to touch a bit on the role that Guyana is playing. It's stepping to the front of the line and it's saying, though there has not been much progress on the 30 by 30 goal, we are going to adopt this fight and we're going to rally like minded nations and supporters and individuals. And we are going to impress upon the world the importance of biodiversity protection. What is your message to Guyana as it takes on this new responsibility?
Yeah, first of all, it can't be appreciated enough. Now, biodiversity and climate change have gone off the global headlines, and Guyana is bringing that back to where it should be. It's a global task, and we all should work together. Guyana has an incredible responsibility on that because Guyana is covered by a lot of rainforest, 80% of the country, and by that comes responsibility, but also an opportunity. So I think Guyana is well placed to call for the world now to recognize the importance to protect rainforest and biodiversity. Rainforests are the core centers globally on biodiversity now. And we have to hold the forest loss. Last year, we have seen more forest loss than we haven't seen in the 20 years before. So we are not on the right track, but Guyana is committed to protect, and not only that, it goes beyond. It calls for the global community for doing so now. And I think that's really outstanding, and it's highly appreciated. As I said, we are living on one planet, and we have to find the solutions together. And the Global Biodiversity Alliance Summit is exactly designed for that now. So yeah, I would say already before it started, I would say a big thank you to Guyana. It's a great initiative. It is super important, and it's coming just right in time.
Dr. Schenk, I want to thank you so much for providing us with such thought provoking perspectives. We truly learned a lot in such a short space of time, especially as it relates to the importance of biodiversity protection and what is at stake for us if this is not treated with a sense of urgency. So, we want to thank you for enriching the discussion today.
Thank you very much.
And to our audience, thank you as well for joining us. We will see you next time with more insights regarding the importance of protecting the world's biodiversity. I am Kiana Wilberg, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to United for Biodiversity, the Alliance podcast. Be sure to follow us for more insightful episodes on our Spotify, LinkedIn, and Facebook accounts.